Hey guys, Lytane here, and thank you for joining me on what has become Danganronpa, where I've been talking about every single thing that I could possibly imagine about Danganronpa, and there's still so much to talk about because today I'm going to be having a look at the very last game in the series, Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony, and seeing if it's worth it. Here it is, the last game in the Danganronpa series, and this game doesn't have as many close ties to everything that came before it, so the spoilers here will be at a minimum, but I just thought you should know just in case I do accidentally spoil something. Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony was released in 2017 and localized into English in the same year. Yay! Not a crazy wait like that first game. When I was getting into this series for the first time, Kitty asked me why did they call it V3, and I said because it's the third game but the fourth part of the story, so they needed to have a 3 in the title, but not to confuse people, they added the V, which confuses people. The story for V3 starts with our main heroine Kaede. Yeah, we play as a girl this time, waking up in a strange school. She meets a boy named Shuichi and is soon confronted by mechs, the Exosols, trying to kill them. They arrive at the gym and our new mascots, the Monokubs, jump out. They are upset that their memory machine didn't work properly and that the students don't remember who they are or their ultimate abilities. Whoopsie! They shoot them with a light and reset everything. So V3 starts with our heroine Kaede. Yeah, we play as a girl this time, waking up in a strange school. She meets Shuichi and is confronted by mechs, the Exosols, trying to kill them. They arrive at the gym where our new mascots, the Monokubs, jump out. They reveal that all of these ultimates were gathered here in order to participate in another killing game. I knew that was gonna happen, but man, this feels like the 50th time we're doing this. Alright, let's get our thinking caps on, load our truth bullets, and bust these cases wide open. This game is both a sequel and something new. While the Hope's Peak Academy saga has finished with the anime Danganronpa 3, this continues along with the story, but it's not as closely tied to the rest of the series as it could be. So as such, we have a lot of ideas like memory loss and ultimates and academies and killing games and Monokuma returning, but the Hope's Peak side of things with like Mikoto and Hajime and the other characters from that don't really get referenced or brought up as much. They are definitely like a side thing. It's still in the same universe and yes, they are brought up, but it is definitely its own story and far different from the other games before it. Because of this, the only returning character is Monokuma. Aside from him, everybody else is new, and there's a plethora of these new characters. There are 16 new ultimates that we have to get to know, and 5 new mascots, the Monokubs, and each one of them have their own personality and their own characteristics. And to be honest, I liked quite a lot of them in this game. I enjoyed quite a lot of the characters here. So, let's start with the characters and our heroine Kaede. She is the ultimate pianist, and I like her, and it's not just because I love piano, okay? She is our Hope character, and she struggles with trying to pull people together in these trying times. Shuichi is the ultimate detective, and a mixed bag for me. I did like him, but I don't always like him. He has a weak start, not trusting in himself or his abilities, and his growth over the game has him learning to be more self-confident. But that lack of confidence really annoys me at times because there are many situations that he gets in where he could have just spoken up and he could have deflated the situation or helped solve it, but instead he just stays quiet. It frustrated me, but overall he's pretty good. Kaito Momoto, Luminary of the Stars, is the ultimate astronaut, and he was such a fun character. He is way over the top and calls Shuichi his sidekick and makes him do all of the hard work. I liked him and his optimism and the fact that he was always moving forward. He was probably my favorite character from this game. Maki, the ultimate child caregiver, is also a fun character, but I can't talk about it too much as that will spoil things, so that will be in my spoiler video. The last character I really liked was Kokichi, the ultimate supreme leader. Oh boy, this guy is all about them lies. He tells fibs, lies, half-truths so often that you never know when he's actually telling you the truth. He was complex, fun, and very unpredictable, and one of the most interesting characters in this game. He and Kaito are tied first for my favorite character in all of V3. But that's not to say I did like everybody, but most of the characters are pretty good. Even the ones that I didn't really mention, like Gonta or Himiko, I really enjoyed, especially Himiko with her "it's magic." I say that to Kitty all the time, and she absolutely hates it. Anyways, but there are some characters that I did not like. The first is Tsumugi, and she is the ultimate cosplayer, and that's about it. She barely does anything in the game. She is pretty much a waste of space, and I don't know why she's there. She's kind of like boring for the majority of it. I forgot that she was around most of the time because she just lacks any presence. They could have like changed her to something more, or just given her more to do in the game. That would have been good, but no, she's just kind of a nothing character. Something that may surprise a lot of people is that I don't like Mew, the ultimate inventor. She is quite popular from what I see on the internet. A lot of people rank her pretty highly, and she was even like the 4th most favorite character in all of V3 according to, the Wikipedia. So I find it really surprising that so many people liked her because I don't. Her whole, idea is that she is this really brass and, like really vulgar person, and she's always making sex jokes, and she's always like being very, very inappropriate. But then if somebody, puts her down or is inappropriate back to her, she's either will get a little bit angry, or she will become like this weird, like, self-deprecating thing, like, I can't believe you're doing that to me, or she'll get really turned on by it. And none of those traits are things that I liked. I did not particularly like anything that I saw. The last character that I really did not like was Angie, the ultimate artist, and she annoyed me so goddamn much. Her idea is that she is the ultimate artist and she's into a god called Atua. And that's fine. Religion is great. I don't mind that. It's the fact that she is a manipulative lady that never thinks about anybody else's wants or needs and only cares about what she is going after. She never ever consults the group in any decision that she makes. When they are all trying to make a decision in the game, like say should we look at something or should we go somewhere, she disregards everything everybody else says and only says what she wants and phrases it into what Atua is telling her to do. And because of that, she does so many stupid things and so many selfish things in the game, and it really, really annoyed me. She only shows care and affection for anybody when it suits her. And that is super manipulative, and I really did not like it. And she does this her entire way through the game, and it's so frustrating, and I just did not like her at all. With all those characters out of the way, let's check out the world we're going to be exploring, and I feel like it's a mix between the first and second games. We are exploring an academy, but this time it is the ultimate academy of gifted juveniles, not Hope's Peak. And this place needs a bit of a fixer-upper. It's not dark and oppressive like the first game, well, some places are, but it does offer a sense of unease. But like the second game, we can go outside of this school and explore the grounds and have that nice sunshine on our face. It doesn't really have all much there, but it is where we learn that there is a wall surrounding the entire school and everybody is trapped within. That is the main motive for the game. Kill and get away with it in order to be released from this entrapment. I think the atmosphere is much better than the second game overall, but still not as good as the first. I like that there are now ultimate rooms based on the ultimate, so like Kaede's ultimate pianist room has a piano in it. It shows these characters more in their element and it reveals more about who they are. I like it, it's a great touch. This all goes hand in hand with the story that this game is trying to tell, and I wasn't nearly as annoyed with this game as I was with number 2. With 2, it was a sequel to 1. Duh. But because of that, all of the unanswered questions and all the characters and all the things that were hinted at in the first game, I wanted to learn more about, and you don't learn about those things in the first 2/3 of number 2. Because of that, I was getting very annoyed and frustrated, especially when they reused some ideas from the first game in the second. But because all of that has been answered and shown now, pretty much all of it, I didn't go into V3 with the same ideas. I was like, well, this is going to be its own original story, so I don't really care about what happened before it, and I was looking forward to how it might tie into all the things that came before it. Because of all of this, I enjoyed just spending time with the characters, learning about the world, and trying to see how it all connected. And that is a much better experience than what I had with 2. This game also has much better pacing and story progression, for the most part anyway. One major complaint I had for the first 2 games are the lack of major story clues and the big questions only really being looked at near the end of the game. Here though, they trickle out that larger story all the time, adding new information and clues for you. This mostly comes in the form of the flashback lights. These show the characters' forgotten memories about what is happening in the world and why they were brought there. It makes me feel like we, the audience, are learning things the same time that the characters do, and we need to piece it together with them. This also really helps out with the end of the game. While it is still a lot of exposition, and it can't be a Danganronpa game without a 4-hour exposition at the end, but this one is more interactive and a lot more of the ideas and groundwork are there because they were placed there throughout the rest of the game. Overall, this is the best paced game in the entire series. But there are quite a few parts of the story that I did not like. Chapters 3 and 4 kind of felt like filler, and they didn't really connect with the overall, story that was going on in the game. And it felt to me just more like, oh, we have to kill more people, so let's just have more chapters where they kill people. Also, the end of the game has a few little issues with the story, and I'm not going to tell you them here. That will be for the spoiler video when I release that. But just know that I had some issues with the ending. But that was all the daily life portion of the game. The investigation part is still the same as the other game, so there's nothing really to say there. Let's move on. Now, the gameplay is where it's at, and that mostly happens in the class trials. These are similar to the first 2 games, but are more akin to the second in length and complexity. Something that I personally wasn't too fond of, because once again, we have to talk about every little detail to death, which can become tiresome. But how are the cases themselves? Well, actually pretty good. The first case is the best first case of the series, and I really didn't see the twists coming, and I love how all the clues were there for me too. Case 2 was decent, but a single clue made it a little easy to narrow down the killer. Case 3 was super annoying, but I'll talk about that in the spoilers. Case 4 was the worst one in the game. Case 5 was way too predictable but decent, and Case 6 was better than I thought it would be. All of these class trials are accompanied by a slew of mini-games, and the first one is the non-stop debate. It has been the same in every single game, except they've spruced it up quite a lot. Now, I haven't really talked about the dynamicness of these in the other 2 videos because I just didn't need to, but here, holy cow, they went really out of their way for how interactive and crazy and fun to look at these non-stop debates are, with the words flying in all different ways and movement, and then even acting out sometimes the things that they're saying. Like if they say eat, maybe the words will go like, making an eating sort of motion. It's a lot of fun and it's really cool, and I love that dynamic nature to the whole thing. It makes it so much more exciting. The mass panic debate has 3 people yelling at you at the same time. So now you have to focus on 3 different conversations, and that makes it a little bit harder because who knows which one is lying and which one is telling the truth, and you have to figure out which one of these conversations is correct and do the truth bullet accordingly. Another old thing made new is the Hangman's Gambit 3.0. They've upgraded it again, and it's still Hangman. Still nothing crazy. There's orbs that go from like one side of the screen to the other, and sometimes like a wave comes past so you can see what the orbs are, otherwise they're black, and then you just pick the right ones to spell out the answer. It's still not exciting. The rebuttal showdown is back, but this has been upgraded for the better. Unlike 2 where you just sort of like press directions and it was really stupid, this one has you having a cursor on one side of the screen, and depending on where it is pointing, that is where it will cut. It's a little finicky and the controls aren't super tight and it feels really slippery to get like accurate cuts, but it's far better than the second game. We have a new type of logic dive called the Psych Taxi. Here you'll be driving down a road in this super 80s themed game, hitting letters to spell out a question that you have to answer. It's not great and it's not bad, it's just kind of meh. The Mind Mine is a new game and it is horrible. You clear squares of the same color with 2 or more touching, and this causes the squares that were touching them to change color. You clear these out until you reveal an image, and there are 3 images on each board, and you have to figure out which is the right one and clear all the blocks off of them to reveal it and then choose it. It is boring and it makes me so aggravated because I'm a perfectionist and I want to solve this puzzle, but I just can't, and there's usually stupid squares that are left over and it just frustrates me. The last new game is the Debate Scrum, and it is so exciting. 2 teams are arguing, one for and one against a topic, and you have to pick the right person to counter the argument being thrown at you. This is so exciting, and you need to be quick in order to counter. Easily my second favorite game mode in the entire series, behind the non-stop debates. And it also has the best song of the game. As this game was made for the PS4 and Vita, there are quite a few upgrades over the previous games. Like, sprites look absolutely gorgeous. The world that we're in is so well designed and it has so much more depth to it because there is just so much to see. Also, there are new cutscenes and even 3D rendered cutscenes, which is pretty crazy and cool. There's a lot more dynamic range in the daily life part, and that's the craziest part. Instead of it just being like 2 sprites that will come up when people are talking, instead the camera actually occupies the space and moves when people are talking. I really like this. It did get a little bit sickening at times, but honestly for the most part I thought this was really cool, and it just added a lot more excitement to the main story and to the daily life parts. Also, obligatory mention of the fantastic music that is found in this game. I think every Danganronpa game just has fantastic music, and this one is no exception. My favorite song, as mentioned, is that Scrum Debate because I just love it. I love that slow build as everything is like getting into place, and then when the debate starts, that beat kicks in. Oh, I love it. It just gets me pumped. It's so good. It's definitely my favorite song of this game. Something that surprised me is this game does have some replay value to it. While the cases don't change, you can take a different route to get to the same outcome, and it isn't always obvious either, which is good. I mean, it's not much, but at least it's so much better than the last 2 games. This game also has a casino where you can play minigames to earn special coins in order to trade them in for special items such as skills or presents. After you have finished the game, there are some extra modes that you will unlock. The first is called Love Across the Universe, and it's like school mode or island mode from the other games where you get to spend time with the other characters in order to finish off your bonds with them. Once you have bonded with a person, you can then take them out on a date. Reaching 10 hearts will then have an extra scene that will usually finish off their story, the one that they were telling you when you were getting to know them. The main part of the post game that you'll be playing is the Ultimate Talent Development Plan, and this is a doozy. So you have every character from all 3 games here that you can choose from. You then have them for 3 years of their school life where the goal is to move around a game board much like Mario Party, but there are no other players, so yay, no competition. You level up and get better stats, more on that shortly, and you will have events with other characters that are silly and fun, and even friendship squares that show you scenes of characters interacting with each other, and they're not just from the games that they were in, so you get to see someone like Gonta and Gundam bonding over their love for animals, or Kyoko and Shuichi talking about their detective work. These interactions are the best part of this minigame. While they're not part of the main real story, this is all a side thing, it's great to see these, but the rest of the board game is pretty shallow and tedious. You want to get to certain squares to make your characters great, but sometimes the game just conspires against you, and if you want to finish the post game, you will be returning to these boards quite a bit, so get used to this tedium. After you graduate at least one of your characters, you unlock the final extra mode, Monokuma's Test. This has you use a party of 4 graduates in a dungeon crawl RPG, but only graduates from the academy can be used, and that's why you'll be playing the talent program quite a lot to get those characters. Also, because in Monokuma's Test you don't get any experience or anything, so whatever you bring into this mode is exactly what you've got. So if you want a better character, you'll have to return to that board game and try and win a better character, or give them different skills or abilities and so forth for what you will need in Monokuma's Test. The battles here are very reminiscent of games like Earthbound. You get into random encounters and the monster will appear in the middle of the screen. You will then have a simple menu to attack or to use an ability, and then after that, when you kill them, they will drop gold, which is used to buy other characters or to craft weapons for your heroes. All in all, it's actually a lot more than I ever thought I would have gotten from the post-game. There are so many floors to explore and a lot of strategy for which characters you bring into the dungeon and how you set them up beforehand. While it isn't super complex, it's quite a lot to think about if you want to complete it. Getting further in the dungeon also unlocks a gachapon machine, and this drops new characters in exchange for your gold, and there are 3 tiers for every character from all 3 games, and each one of them level up differently. Getting a better version of the card means they level up easier, so they will get better stats and abilities by the end. So that means you have to go back to the academy, level them up before you bring them back to the dungeon. It's a big circle, and I'll admit, it's pretty addicting. Trying to create the perfect character, seeing how your team works in the dungeon before pulling new characters and then doing it all again. But at the same time, it's also shallower and a little bit too tedious because you have to play through that board game so many times. Especially when you get bad rolls, it just sucks. But aside from that, I really liked these modes. In my opinion, I think that Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony was worth it. It is a great way to finish off this series. I really enjoyed the dynamic nature of that camera with it going in and out of characters and moving around the room. It just made everything feel so much more exciting and really more cinematic. I loved the areas that we could explore, and the academy itself was a lot of fun to go through. I really enjoyed most of the characters. I thought they were really good, and while I did have some issues with a few of the characters, the vast majority were fantastic. I think this is also the best paced game in the entire series because most of the things that the characters are learning are part of the bigger plot, and we are learning it with them, so that makes it so much fun. I did have some issues with the ending though, but that's for the spoiler video. Also, I really hated case number 4, but aside from that, the rest of the cases were pretty good and I enjoyed playing through them. So overall, I think that this game is a very great addition to the series and a natural evolution of many things that came before it, and I would love to see a Danganronpa 4 one day, but if not, this was a great way to end the series. So guys, tell me what you thought about Danganronpa V3. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you think that it was a good idea to make it so far removed from the rest of the series, or should have had more ties to what came before it? Personally, I liked the new direction because it felt like I could just get to know these characters and not have to worry about all the stuff that came before, and I was looking forward to seeing how it connected more than anything else. But let me know in this comment section down below. Also, don't write spoilers down there. I will be releasing a spoiler video in the future, so go and click on that and write all the spoilers there. Otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Hey guys, Lytane here, and this is a cute little plushie that I've got, and I'm so glad that it arrived in time. But anyways, that was pointless. But I am really glad it did arrive in time. Way more dynamicness. I don't think dynamicness is a word. Also, obligatory mention of the music. I'm so tired.